Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. First things first, if you wouldn't mind giving me a like and a subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And whilst you're down there, let me know how you're feeling out of 10. This week, I've probably been about a 9. It's been a pretty good week. It's been lovely weather. I've made a couple of cock-ups, but that kind of stuff happens. Low of the week is that I forgot to unplug the spool pipe on the back of the trailer when I was taking it off of the forklift. And I drove off and I broke the spool off. Really annoying, but again, it's done now, so I've got to just fix it. High of the week is that we've just got loads done, and that's kind of what this video is about. It's just a bit of a catch up, talking over things that we've got done, because it's been a real big week of just odds and sods and getting things done, so that when we get busy carving, fencing, fertilising, God knows what else, we don't have to worry about them. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy what you see. So we're just going to go into the feed store and show you what we've done in here, because those of you who watched the video I did back Christmas time will know that I spoke about putting a hopper in this shed somehow to fill the mill up behind me, because it's just really difficult in here with the trailer and everything. And my dad come up with a cunning idea. Now this hopper here we used to use to fill the Keenans. We used to mill into that and then use that over the top of the Keenan to fill it up. Obviously, we don't have the Keenan anymore because now we've got the Emily bucket, which is amazing. So what he decided to do was use that hopper to create a bit of a place for putting all of the cereal in, to then run it up the auger and into the mill. And he put it on this little stand here, and we've extended the top of it because, as you can see, it didn't used to be that wide, but we can now put quite a bit of stuff in there, like a couple of ton in there, and then just run it up the mill it straight into either the Emily bucket or into a little trailer. And he made this stand out of, believe it or not, the cantilever part of the shed that we altered back just before Christmas. So if you've watched that video, you saw us take the roof of the shed back, and these legs are the bits that extended over the top of the trough. So it's been a really good, useful thing. It's a bit of a, it's just a bit of a bodgy setup. Well, it's not bodgy, it works, but it's, just a bit thrown together. But that has made life so much easier. So we can actually just mill to our heart's content now. And we actually have all this room, because we used to have the trailer sticking out there. We don't have to do that now. It's made life so much better. Some of you might remember that back when we did our TB testing, we did some metabolic profiles on our cows, which are blood tests. And in those blood tests, what we find out is whether they've got the right minerals and nutrients and whatever else that they need to keep them going. And what we found was that they have got all of the vitamins and minerals that they need, but they are needing a little bit of protein. They were a little bit low, and they were metabolizing quite a bit of fat to keep their energy sources up. So what we've done is we started feeding the cows and the heifers, which is this group, a bit of cereal every day up the trough, just to give them that little bit of extra boost. Because if we can look after them now, when we come to try and get them back in calf again, if they're in good condition when they calve, it'll be a lot easier. Whereas if they're in bad condition and they're struggling, it takes their body a lot longer to recover from it, and therefore they need more time, and then we might struggle to get them in calf again when it comes back to the spring. Now we are about a week into what we would consider proper calving. And we've had 12 so far, which is probably about average. The thing is, when you use bulls as opposed to using AI, is you're not exactly 100% sure when you're going to really start. Because the menstrual cycle of a cow is 3 weeks, you could have got most of your first 3 weeks in calf in the last week of the first 3 weeks, if that makes sense. So we're kind of playing a bit of a waiting game at the minute. But I went up these heifers on Saturday or Sunday and counted 19, which are all bagged up, which what that means, if you don't understand it, if they're bagged up, it means that they're kind of imminent calving. They'd be within the next week or maybe 2 weeks maximum. So I'm expecting these things to explode. We thought it was going to happen on Monday. We had like 4 or 5 calve, and then Tuesday, nothing. So we're kind of waiting at the minute. But if you can see, look, this is what I mean. That cow's bagging up, bagged up, all these here. But the calves that we have got are little beauties. They're doing really well, so really happy with what we've got on with so far. Those of you who watched last week's video will know that we got the calving pens up, and it's really a good job we did do, because we've now got 2 cows in here. This cow literally calved it 5 minutes ago. It needed a bit of a hand. It wasn't getting on with it. So we always are really careful if we've had to jack a calf out or had to assist it in any way. We always make note of it regardless, even if it goes back in the yard straight away. But because we've got these pens now, what we're going to do is put them in the pen so we can keep an eye on them. Because we find that when you've assisted a calf, it tends to just be a little bit slower getting going. I don't know if that's because of the pull that you've put on it or anything like that to get it out. So that's why this one is in here, just so we can keep our eye on it, make sure it gets its colostrum. And then this one is a proper millennial. This cow didn't want to get on with her calving. She was just milling around. She was too busy eating. She wasn't taking any notice. She thought the whole world was just going to happen for her and she wasn't going to have to put in any effort. So we had to carve that one. She just didn't even bother pushing. When she got it out, she was like, not interested, mate. Seems like too much effort. Millennial again. So we put her in here and we've had to get this calf going. We had to stomach tube it for a couple of days because it just wouldn't suck. And we've called it Mars Bar. And the reason why I've called it Mars Bar is if you don't know this trick, you will quite like it. If you can't get a calf to suck, something that we've learned it from other people is to just get a bit of a Mars bar or some sort of chocolate and just cut a tiny little bit off, just the end, put it in the roof of their mouth, and it makes them do that. And it's that kind of same action that they need to suck on a teat. So we put Mars bar in the top of its mouth and it straight away started sucking. So we got that one on the cow now, and it's, yeah, within 24 hours, it's gone from being on a stomach tube to sucking the cow. So really pleased with it. The other thing we've got done this week is if you watched my video last week on these pens, you'll know that I said we wanted to get some lights above these pens. And look at this. Boom. Each pen now has got its own individual light. So, I mean, it's still quite bright out here. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon. So it is really bright, but you can see how much lighter it is when we put these on. They're 10-watt LED lights. I think we got them from Screwfix. We always use these lights because they're brilliant. And we've just got one, like I say, above every single pen. So they've all got their own light. Look how bright it is. It's absolutely brilliant. So we're just waiting on the calving gates now, which they're on their way. They've been made. We're just waiting for them to deliver to this area, which is understandable given fuel prices at the minute. So once they're here, this place will be spick and span. Someone was asking me how the stabilizers are getting on, what's happened to them. They've not seen much of them. They're fine, they're still here. They're not doing a lot. The reason why you've probably not seen a lot of them is because these guys won't calve for about another week or 10 days. This one here, 750, that's starting to get a bag now. She's gonna be probably one of the first ones of these to calve because the guy we bought them off, Tim, is a big rugby fan. And I think a lot of Tim for this. Because he's a massive rugby fan, anyone who knows that, it's Six Nations right now. He doesn't put the balls in till later in June so that he doesn't miss any of the Six Nations, which I think is a brilliant idea, and I don't know why I've not thought of that. So yeah, that's why these guys haven't done a lot yet, but pretty imminent. I would imagine she's gonna be like 10 days, something like that, and then they're all gonna be kicking off. But the others are keeping us busy enough for now. Just coming down here to go down to the bottom of the yard, but I thought I'd just show you, look, it's a really good job that we got these calving pens done because we're nearly full. I don't actually know how we used to cope without them. I know that sounds ridiculous because I've only been in here a week, but honestly, where would we put all these things? They're not all here because they've got an issue. This one here, she was calving when we woke up this morning, and we're always dubious with ones that we find first thing in the morning because you don't know how long they've been knocking around. So she could have been calving for like 6 hours or something like that. So we had her in and jacked the calf out. She would have calved it herself, I think, but you just, you know, want to make sure everything's fine. So yeah, I think these pens are really going to actually prove to be something that's going to just gain us that little extra percentage when it comes to turnout. When we did our vet health plan, we found that we turned out 96-point-something% of cows last year with a calf at foot, which is way above the average for benchmarking if you go on the HDB. But I'm not happy. Like, I'm never happy. I don't even think I'd be happy if I got 100% turnout with calves because I would find that there's nowhere to improve, and that would really annoy me as well. But just having these is going to help me gain that little bit, so I'm really pleased with these. Could do with starting to turn a few of them out of the pens though, because I might need them. Now, I thought I'd just come down here and talk to you about these guys. These are my heifers. I wanted to show you the steers, but it's super windy now, and yeah, you wouldn't be able to hear me around there. So I've come in here because we weighed them all earlier in the week. We weigh our cattle about every 4 weeks when they're in the growing stage, sort of maybe 3 weeks, but every 4 weeks minimum. And and we weigh them every 2 weeks when we come to the finishing stage. So these guys all got weighed this week because it's been 28 days since we weighed them. And we found that they were growing at around about 1.2 kilos a day, most of them. Some are doing a bit more, some are doing a bit less, but the majority are doing around 1.2 kilos a day, which at this stage is pretty good. This is like the growing stage for these guys. Some people call that a store period, whatever you want to call it, but they're not ready to finish yet. The biggest one weighs 440 kilos. There's quite a few that are over 400 kilos now. So they're not ready to go onto a finishing ration and really push hard. So having a 1.2 kilo a day gain is quite good. Apparently the UK average is 0.8 of a kilo a day in this stage. So we're doing 50% more than that, which I'm pretty happy with. However, the smaller ones that aren't doing so well, I'm a bit worried about them because I think they're getting pushed out now because there's plenty of feed face here and they can all fit in, but I think the bigger ones are just taking up that bit more room now they're getting a bit bigger. So I'm hoping to get a few cows out and then we can sort of move the ones that aren't doing so well into one of the cattle sheds separately, and then they should be able to do a bit better because they'll have just a bit easier access to feed. They won't get bullied off it so much. But I'm actually really pleased with these. They look well, so another job that was worth doing. If you did want to know what their diet was, they're on silage, so they're having a decent silage. It's off a herbal lay, so it's got some clover in there and whatever else. It's a decent quality silage, but their actual cereal ration is just field beans, oats and barley, and they have a Champion 35 Rumatech pellet in there as well, which is like a mineralized pellet. It ups their protein a little bit, helps keep the starch down so they don't get too fat. The reason why we don't want to push these too hard is because if we do push them too hard, they will put fat on and then we'll be penalized for that when we come to actually finishing them. So they have that. That keeps them well. That's also got a rumen buff in it, so it helps protect their rumen, which is also really good. So yeah, it's nothing fancy, nothing flash ration. It's not expensive ration at all, but it does the trick. And that is it for another video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you wouldn't mind giving me a like and a subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And remember, while you're down there, let me know how you are feeling out of 10. It has just started absolutely chucking it down with rain. But it does give 16 degrees next week, which is prime grass growing weather. So I'm quite happy about that. We can start and get some of these girls out. Also, next week, I find out whether I got into the London Marathon on the marathon ballot, which is quite exciting. So I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, I get in. If not, I'm going to need you guys to pitch in with some ideas of things we can do for fundraising. Any crazy ideas, long distance bike rides, swims, runs, whatever, ultra marathons, I don't care. Let me know what you think. But until then, look after yourselves over the weekend. Enjoy yourself, sit down, watch the rugby, and I'll see you all on the other side. Bye.